Best episode of Demon Slayer Hashira training arc by far. Apparently, most of the season is mostly anime original. You know, what are pages in the manga are full-on episodes in the anime. And I love seeing manga readers not bitch about that, because usually if it's not a page-for-page adaptation, it's bad. But I'm seeing mostly Demon Slayer fans saying, this is actually the superior way to experience this arc, not just because Ufobal's production is fantastic, but because you actually get to experience characters as characters rather than them just being mindless fodder that are about to get slaughtered in the upcoming arc. But this was a good transition, because up to this point, it's been an episode for each of the stops. This time, we got through 3 of them. Well, 2. The third is kind of we're on probation because we, fought with the Wind Hashira, and understandable. We'll go into next week with the final stop by the looks of it, and the strongest of the stops, which is going to be interesting. And honestly, the snappiness and the different vibes, you have pancake dinners being fed to you with ballet that rips your taint. Nothing I said was a lie. Snake Beatdown, which was probably my favorite spot that we've stopped at. It was just such a creative idea for training. And then the Wind Hashira, who legitimately tried to kill Genya. And okay, he didn't want to kill him, but he wanted to break him so he couldn't fight anymore. Had Tanijro not stopped him and saved him, he would have been blind. You can't stab a fool's eyes and not have them be permanently damaged. Holy. Full live reactions, though, of course, over on Patreon. If you want to see my full link of thought to any of these Demon Slayer episodes, it's going to be over there exclusively. I'm loving this season. I've had a very consistent opinion that it will be my least favorite of the seasons. But something's always going to be your least favorite. It doesn't mean you dislike it. But this is such a refreshing change of pace for Demon Slayer. They don't even need to throw like a demon battle this season. They're finding ways to have the action be incredibly fun because you get to go up against all these Hashiras who are training us, even without being told, oh, this is an anime original thing or this is an anime original thing. You can just tell that certain fights were probably just a couple of panels in the manga, and then yet Ufobal's going completely just extreme to flesh this all out. And there's still chapters left to adapt. This isn't stretching and milking. This is actually refining an arc that was probably considered pretty basic by a lot of people. I mean, given the announcement for this season was like, why are they making this a season? It's like 3 pages, like 3 chapters of the manga. Like, why are they doing this? Anime onlys are not going to assume this is a stretched out arc. They're going to assume it's a training arc, but it's snappy, it's fun, and especially with episode 5, the pace that they went for, if they would have spent a full episode just on the ballet stuff, which is really what it was, because her fighting style is all about flexibility and kind of elegance and grace. It matches, of course. Yeah, that would have felt probably dragged out. I don't think Iguro's stuff, if that would have been a full episode, would have felt like, had we walked in and we just started with my snake boy and just had him for like 15 minutes of the episode, I would have probably been saying very similar things that I have said up to this point. But starting it the way they did and being like, oh, interesting, that was less than 5 minutes, we might actually clear most of the remaining stops. And whatever they decide to do, because I assume it's 8 episodes, is going to be interesting because we know the new upper 4 is scouting, but at the same time, it doesn't mean we're going to fight them this season. We could. It would make the most sense given that's the one that's currently in our area. But it also could just be that it's a scout. We may not fight a single demon this season, which honestly wouldn't disappoint me given the fights they are showing me are really cool, because one of most superhero fans' favorite things is in any movie or comic book or show is when superheroes fight each other. There's always a reason that they end up throwing hands, whether disagreements, wrong sides, and this is kind of like that situation. We're not going to really be able to see Tanijro go up against most of these characters in normal circumstances, and I'm of the belief that many of them probably ain't going to make it out of the final battle. So this is the moment to let them have that one final hurrah, and honestly, Tanijro versus Wind Hashira was intense, man. He walked into that battle with like his eye so broken because it was like inflated with the bruise, and the fact that my boy can still with such a broken face give the thumbs up and smile is fantastic. Granted, Zensu pretty much warned us when he was Spider-Man crawling his way out of there with that much fear. We probably should have listened to him. I was like, where the hell is Inosuke? If this is where my boy's been, like, where the hell is Inosuke? And of course he's in the mountains. Though I have to wonder, does that count as cheating? Because all of them are getting like poured down on the waterfall, but he has a mask on. That should, like, help with the pressure, no? But it is Inosuke, I don't think it would really matter at the end of the day, but, the fact that the hardest stopping point was, the guy who's basically burning his ass and crying, that's gonna be something. It'll be interesting to see if he actually gets a rematch or, like, can pass the win Hashira stuff, because we're on probation with that one right now. But then again, maybe the upper management of this whole thing aren't going to want to have them together. But, you know, it's interesting because poor Genya, man, he even after all that, he still doesn't want to hear bad things said about his brother, but his brother doesn't own him as a brother, but still wants to treat him as a brother. It's family squabbles are interesting to say the least, but this was fun. And the fact that, when you look at Igoro's stuff as an example, it's crazy, man. They're, like, literally tied up and you have to hit in between these small crevices. His sword literally acts as a snake. What they did with the visuals when, like, they're in just a dark room, but the room was cool because of the design and the poor grunt soldiers just crying for their mother. When they shifted into that style and it felt like they were running through a forest, that was such a creative decision and just added an extra element of flair that I wasn't expecting or needing, but it just amplified it in general. Easily the most fun episode of this season. I felt like it had the best pacing, and while I didn't hate or disagree with how they structured previous episodes, I just feel like you can't deny how much more fun this one was because we got so many different styles. And yeah, I mean, the one that we're setting up for next week definitely looks like it could be one of the best, though I definitely think Igoro's will be my favorite when it's all said and done, just because of how creative it was, but this is how you do a good anime adaptation. Even if it's a shorter arc in the manga, there's always ways that you can flesh things out, especially if you're entering the final battle, and who knows how many of these characters are going to be left standing. Give me stuff like the paper airplane from last week. That's such a simple, somber moment, but it adds such humanity to characters who may not see tomorrow when it's all said and done. And honestly, I might be as bold to say this is probably like the best animated training arc I can remember in shonen anime, maybe ever, because this is the type of stuff that would normally be like quick slideshow animation because it is such a rapid, snappy arc. I don't know why Ufotable decided to put so much passion into it, but thank God this is the most consistent ongoing shonen I've seen, if I'm being honest. But of course, those are my feelings. I'd love to know what everyone thought, especially manga readers, because this has been one of those interesting things where like manga readers are like, oh, this was 95% anime original and I loved it. Or I've seen some people say like, oh, they shouldn't have extended it should have just been quick. But I'm interested because how much of this was actually from the manga and how much did they, expand? I'd love to know, so let me know down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, and of course ring that bell so you know if I want to upload more. Like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Adler 2704, Peter Addy, Demi Bear, Shasin Passin, Jacob A. Barrett, What's Down, and the Drunk Crusader. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.